Notes,
Let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I do appreciate everybody's time involved with this. To help with some structure and timeliness and organization with all this, I really do believe we need to make sure there's one spokesperson per side, okay? And it's not that the spokesperson can't defer, okay? But that way I think we're getting a clearer picture on some things, okay? And making sure we're getting some things done. It's not that we didn't get a lot of things done last time, but I think that will help in understanding what everybody is agreeing to.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, our concern was just we wanted to make sure there would be no dings for policy, not following policy.
Who is your spokesperson?
Could be.
That's me.
Okay, that helps. I will be the spokesperson here, and again, it's not that you can't defer. Then
No, yeah.
let
That's fine.
us know when that happens, and I'll do the same here. Okay.
There she is.
Can we put a 45-minute timeline on this at 5:40?
Do you have the agenda?
Huh?
Joe, do we have
I'm gonna go through some
Okay.
things. Really tonight is what I want to make sure is clarified so we can get in writing to ultimately get it signed off in an agreement,
Okay.
okay? And then take to the board.
Okay.
5:45, excuse me, not 5:45, 4:45 to be done.
Okay.
Okay, in regards to all this process, and then this also is coming from this last meeting, and I think Lori is very much right in this. This is going to be a process over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, okay? To where we ultimately want to get the salary schedule and policies right.
Okay.
Whatever we don't get right, I think the biggest thing is we want to make sure there's movement towards getting it right. Okay? So in other words, it's not that, whatever we agree upon in the subsequent year it can be tweaked again. Okay? In other words, we cannot just give $4 million to get the salary schedule right immediately.
And I think we understand that.
Okay.
We just, we can, because we haven't seen this schedule yet, and so when we do negotiate that, but, and when we heard just adding the 2 to the base, and we were concerned that that wasn't gonna address where we were deficit, for some of the higher education levels. And so I think if we have a plan or a timeline laid out, even one that we can work on, that will be fine. I think we're all reasonable in realizing we don't have 4 million to pull out to correct immediately, but we do need to work towards that, and that does need to be our end goal. So if we're setting goals and making our way towards that and have a timeline and holding each other accountable, I think that is reasonable. Would you guys agree?
A 3-year timeline
Well,
as a goal?
we need a timeline. I mean, it's going to depend on different things that happen. So,
Yeah.
a 2 to 3 year timeline, I think, probably is reasonable.
Okay.
I mean, do you guys see any reason that is it?
Okay, with all this in mind, here's the things that I know we agree on. Is going to pay time off. It's making personal leave and sick leave all inclusive.
Yes, but we're going to monitor that for FMLA purposes.
All leave has to be tracked.
Okay.
Okay, as per the policy, I believe, just leave the policy. As per GCBDA, there's some language there that needs to be changed, but you can take all your leave as personal days, but I think it needs to be tracked as personal days. You can take all your leave as sick days, theoretically, or whatever that would fall under. But my point being in here, I think we got to track it.
Okay.
Not only for FMLA purposes, but just for internal purposes. Okay? Are you good with that? Excessive absences still can be, and there's policy, still can be, that would stay in this, still can be cause for termination.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so like if you are out 3 days in a row for being sick, you need a doctor's note, those kind of things would still be in place, correct?
I believe so.
Okay,
The biggest thing is the all-inclusiveness. We're not out checking, we are concerned that people are gone, but
if somebody said they were taking a sick day and it really was a personal thing, you're not
correct.
going
It's
to.
not, that
Okay.
language will change.
Okay,
Okay? The bereavement days at 5 days above and beyond, outside of the PTO. But leaving the language in for immediate family. You're good with that? FMLA and PTO for maternity leave to run concurrently, but dropping the application of only 6 weeks of accrued paid leave against that. So in other words, if you got the leave built up to go beyond however long, that's up to you, each person or individual in regards to taking that. Now, as far as FMLA purposes, okay, it's going to stop at 6 weeks whenever you get the release from the doctor.
okay.
Okay.
But if you have the days above that, you can use that, and if you don't have the days, you'll be docked. How does that look with adoption? What is that? Is it, are both that look in the district? Like if two spouses, we just want to, if two spouses work in the district, they can only have 12 weeks added together.
I will add, I'm trying to get this a lot of ways in regards to, so I can get to legal to get it all
Right.
typed up. So I'll defer to Amy on that question.
Yeah, so for that, yes, if two spouses work for the districts, it's a 12-week total. They can use that however, one can use 8 weeks and the other and it can use the 4 weeks. So you can do that. For adoption, if we're moving towards this PTO piece, the adoption, that it wouldn't matter. They could use their leave
Okay.
for that purpose. So that eliminates that piece for the adoption.
Does fostering fall under the adoption policy?
Foster child? Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yep.
What? Go ahead, Tina.
For, I mean, is it written that that's the same for fostering and for adoption? I mean, is that already written in our policy?
I will double check the FMLA policy.
Because there's been
to make sure.
discrepancies. Some teachers were able to use sick leave for adoption and fostering. Teachers that adopted the same week were denied that and had to use FMLA and were not paid for it. So we just wanted to make sure that it's standard and consistent across the board. We just wanted to see, was that a written policy?
I will double check how the policy writes on the foster piece. I'm not as familiar with that or have that memorized and how it's written in
Okay.
the policy.
When will, okay, so we have,
Oh, yes,
Okay,
referring
fine,
back to you.
sorry.
I didn't know I had to do that. Don't know the rule. Is it tag team?
when, right, when will people start getting in trouble for leave days? Like what, in your mind, what does that look like? It can be applied to termination. Like, obviously if they're sick, they're gonna have a doctor's note if they're sick for a standard amount of time. Say they miss a day here, a day, like, what does that look like in your mind?
I currently don't see it any different than what the policy looks like right now. In
okay.
my initial discussions with Joe Hatley, he didn't either. Really just substituting out and placing personal and sick leave are all inclusive.
Okay.
And the policy pretty much remains the same.
Okay, so the policy
Okay.
will remain the same, and we'll track it, but everything is inclusive.
Everything would be
Okay.
inclusive.
All right. Okay.
When you ask when somebody gets in trouble, it really comes down to also, are we getting the job done at school?
Right, and that is our
Okay.
purpose.
Yeah. Okay. are you good with grandfathering days?
What does that look like? For those, that are,
Again, not knowing that number yet,
so
okay?
let's say the number's 150.
It would be grandfather, say somebody had 220. It'd be grandfathering 70
So would you pay them out 70?
at the current policy
At the
rate.
current policy rate?
Right.
So at,
When
okay.
current policy and current policy rate
Okay.
is at retirement. So they would bank that 70, they would have the 70.
banked, and then when they retire, they get that.
what-
Paid out
what-
at the 20.
Right, if they haven't used any, okay, they get paid that out at the 20. Whatever the difference, whatever number we use, okay?
Yeah, yeah. And then, so those grandfathered will start at the number, and then they'll bank those days over, and then they'll be
They-
paid out
they
at
could use-
retirement.
Say they needed them for an
Right.
emergency,
Okay,
they would have that to use,
okay.
okay? And then whatever was left over, they would be paid out as per the current amount for this policy. And that's what's gotta be remembered and written into this.
So they would be paid out the 20. What if the ones they accrue till then, will they be paid out under the new policy?
Anything so if that number is 150,
Okay,
okay, those 150 then would be paid out under the new policy.
okay, that's what we wanted, that was a big question we going back and forth when we wanted clarification.
So the concept of banking and grandfathering, you're good with.
Yes.
The work calendar, and I know this really wasn't part of Meet and Confer, but I want to make clear, we are taking that to the 12-month work calendar Monday night. Just curious, you have no issues with that?
Is there any, I'll defer to Melissa, the 12-month work calendar. Have you, any issues with the 12-month work calendar?
There's the 12 paid holidays and the 8,
Right,
I mean, not the 8, the 6 for an 18 total.
I have not had complaints like I did before. This is much better. so.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, now that leaves us here, what I believe is the true negotiating piece, is the number of PTO days. And also as that applies to even the salary schedule. Okay? No matter how you want to look at it, Alyssa, I believe that more days is like a salary increase. Okay? So, in other words, we left it at really kind of the last meeting at 12 and 16 to leave it as is. Okay, that's an enormous number of PTO days, okay? And especially when they're all inclusive. Now granted, you hope people are prudent enough to save days for emergency purposes, okay? But as we look at applying and working towards a salary increase, if we I guess what I'm asking, I'll just come out here. If you'd be willing to go to 12 and 9 on those PTO days, 1 day per month, I'd be willing to go to $1,000 or $1,200 base increase.
That's a significant decrease in days, especially when you have,
Listen to what I just said. If you would go to 12 and 9 days for 12 months, 1 day per month, okay, I'd be willing to go to $1,000 or $1,200 base increase with steps and movement for a recommendation. Roughly on a daily basis, per day basis, that you currently have on a base of $35,000, $34,900, whatever it is, $34,986, on a 180-day schedule, figures out to roughly a 194 day per dollar daily rate. So you're looking at, say, $200. What I'm willing to say is you backed off 3 days there, I'm going to give you almost $600 more in base increases.
We do have 10 months on our calendar.
When you say 10 months, you're on a 9-month, 180 days, right?
We need a minute to talk. We need
Okay.
that time. No, those two. Not those.
They're all teachers.
I know, burn. Sorry. That's okay.
Go ahead.
Last week, we asked about average teacher leave. How many? What was the average?
The average,
That's,
Oh, sorry. Last week, we were asked about the average teacher. What the average was that teachers took a year.
do you have that piece in?
I do not have that piece. I will need to pull that. Of the ones that we saw, but I didn't go do the full average, which I should have done. But the average of kind of what I saw was around a 10 range.
And also at the work session, there was a lot of discussion about option 2 on the pay scale, so we just need clarification. Is that option 2 plus 1,200? So that would be 32 to the base? Or is it
No.
1,200 to the base?
It'd be,
That's our clarification.
my point, depending on number of days,
Mm-hmm.
I give you a range, would be 1,000 to 1,200 to base on the current schedule.
And do you happen to have that schedule calculated out,
Yes.
Dr. Newhart?
We do, yes.
Do we have it for us to glance at?
What do you take the current schedule, no, I don't have a copy for
Okay,
you,
that was my
no.
question.
You take the current schedule, the base of 34,986. We can send you one here.
Okay. In our discussion with both groups, we don't feel comfortable going under 10 days.
Excuse me.
And that's 2 weeks. And we would also like to continue the discussion, because leave won't accrue as quickly. About the leave pool, we realize that won't be in play for next year, but we would like that discussion to remain on the table and look into that.
Yeah, have a good night.
So really what you're countering right now is for 10 on 9-month employees? Send you the schedule. Want to know the average teacher leave?
Yes. And if we're gonna talk about administrative leave on the 12-month employees, that's for administration?
Well, it's not only for administration, but it deals with support staff as well.
If we're going to, if that's gonna be tied into that, we would also like to know their average, if it's more than ours, or if they kind of fall in the same.
That's why I'm just trying to make it a legitimate 1 day per month based on the number of months worked. Or I guess you can figure it out per number of days worked even. We'll step back, we'll get this sent to you on what a $1,000 and also a $1,200 would look like,
Okay.
okay? One of the other items there's 2 other items basically, I think to get off point, is the payback and the total accumulated days on PTO. Okay, now you threw out 150, was that for a reason earlier?
And we were looking at a range. A school year is 180. And so that would be ideal in case somebody had long-term illness. And that is how many days? Are we at a 245 or a 225 cut? Is it 225? So that's 45 days we would cut back. correct? Is my math right?
I don't do math in my head. No.
I'm a math teacher.
You should do it.
Okay?
To 180.
We also like to throw out, on the salary schedule, okay, to make it a freezing at BS 10 years experience, BS plus 16 at 20 years experience, and then going all the way down to 31 on masters.
Is that Masters
Okay.
Plus would all remain the
Yeah,
same?
would go all the way across at 31.
Okay, so BS would be 10. Say that
20
again. And then
at
20.
BS plus 16, and then 31, taking into account 31 years of experience, but then eliminating longevity. You know, currently that reads on the schedule, .015 step for steps past 31. Again, theoretically, you could max out if we end up getting this as a teacher, whatever that step 31 doctorate would be. So it's not that you couldn't keep building across, but we're like to discuss eliminating that longevity. We would grandfather anybody past 10 in BS plus column to the current schedule as well. Now Wes isn't real happy with that.
So
'cause
they
it is
would continue
attractive.
with movement?
Till what the current schedule is at step 19,
Okay,
okay?
so they would track those.
In the BS plus 16 column, they'd actually get one more year because currently it maxes out at step 19. Why step 19, I have no idea.
What does our BS schedule top out now?
19.
It tops out also at 19.
We'd like to reduce that to 10, add the 1 year at BS plus 16 to, so in other words, it'd be 10, 20, 31.
So, and the ones you grandfather would jump over?
The ones we
According
would
to where they
grandfather
would be.
would stay in until
19.
till 19.
Okay.
And there's really not, Wes, I'll defer to you on this. Is there any, how many we got?
How many do we have on that section over 10 currently? In the BS column?
65, roughly.
And how many teachers do we have total left?
860.
860?
860. It was 65. Did I say 65?
You said
Well, that was a
60.
good estimate, too. 65 and 860 is where we're set right now.
Okay.
Back to you, Robert.
Okay, thank you. So if we can work out the number of days on the paid time off accumulated, the little bit more criteria on the schedule itself, I think the other 2 years to the schedule goals we can get worked out too. I guess the only other piece I would say would be the actual payment on any new PTO incentive plan.
Yes. Do we have, did you bring any, did you have time?
No, I've been back and forth with
Okay.
a lot of different people on a lot of various things. I want to get this to legal to start writing out into our current 2 policies. We will actually, just to let you know, we'll be bringing back GC-BDA and GD-BDA probably several times. You know, it's before the board again, Monday night, just on the 12-month, you know,
The calendar.
holiday and holiday leave, okay? So as we rewrite this, we will be bringing these 2 policies back to where this is written into policy, okay? So, you know, the board can see this over the next 3 meetings, really, I guess. Hopefully we get this, you know, figured out before the 28th.
Is that what you want to make our goal?
It is still, yes, mine. I will give you a heads up that we had a meeting with J.W. Terrell, our new broker of record now,
For insurance.
for insurance, and they will be presenting on the 28th.
Okay.
We charged them to go back and do some research. One of those was for 6-month or an 18-month renewal, and what did our rate and plan look like if we could maintain that for at least 6 months or 18 months, and what they could do to help us with that. And what confidence level would they have with that? Because I really want to, again, try to get this all out to staff.
The package.
That here it is, people, this is basically your package, okay? Now make a decision.
Okay.
You know, we want everybody to stay, we think we have a great staff. You know, we want to make this the best quality working environment we can make it. But they're presenting on the 28th not the 25th. What is that? 28th of March, after break. They'll be there at that board meeting. Okay? Let us go back, okay? Look at this. Can we plan on meeting again next Wednesday?
I can't. Sorry. Well, I don't know. Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can. But boys might be able to come.
Oh, I can't. Next Wednesday, Teacher of the Year nominations.
Oh, yes.
What does Tuesday look like?
I can't on Tuesday.
Thursday?
We have Capital Connection at 5.
Oh, yes, we do have Capital Connection.
What does,
You have a board meeting and we have a meeting.
what does tomorrow look like?
Hey, I think
Yeah,
we're all free on the
conference.
18th.
I'm sorry, that's my payday off. Some of us are at state. Yeah.
So,
Monday's board meeting. Tuesday,
you were out.
Yeah, I can't Tuesday.
Who's are? And then Wednesday, you both were out. And that could be. What would be the?
can we try to shoot for next Wednesday, 4 o'clock again?
That's completely up to you. Do you want to do Tuesday or Wednesday?
I can't Tuesday, so, I don't know, because I have 2 not be able to come. I mean, I could get, I don't know, what do you think? We could get Lori and Ryan.
I mean, I don't care. You know how you feel. I want to say
Thursday
something in
I'd
writing
be
about the
good
adoption.
with as well.
No. What did you say?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I guess. We need to meet really next week.
I'm available.
It is at 5.
So we could do Thursday.
We could do
Or,
Thursday.
yeah.
What did you say?
3:30.
Can you do that?
I'm available Tuesday. Wednesday, I
Thursday,
have
are
Teacher
you
of the Year.
available?
For my class, if that's what works, I'll just find somebody to cover my kiddo.
Can we do 3:30 on Thursday?
I'm good with that.
And do an hour?
And do an hour? Yes, because we have to be out of here. Okay. Yes. So you're gonna bring back the average for teachers in 12-month. And we're gonna see 2 schedules with the 12
$100 increase in base and $1,000.
and 1,000.
The, what you're proposing though is you'd be willing to consider this if your PTO is 10 days.
Yeah, we're not comfortable taking anything less than 10 days.
And that also could be dependent upon the number of days cumulative
Yes. And what the
as
payout,
would be.
yes. And that will give us more time to organize this. The week has been very busy for all of us. So I know we all haven't had a lot of time to look at some of those other things.
The
So
other,
give us a little more
what
time.
I would want to look at too would be then, and this can be done after we get some of this initial things, so we get at least 16, 17, but then developing the schedule for year 2 and year 3.
A plan.
Okay.
Schedule, yes.
To where we can step back and look at the, as that plan goes into the masters and the depth and the width of it. Okay,
Because we do need to address those.
okay.
and it's March, so.
We will plan on having some answers here for you and meeting back here at 3:30 next Thursday then.
Sounds good, thank
Okay.
you.